The rain hammered the windshield like it was trying to break through, but I couldn't stop driving, not even when the world blurred into a gray smear and my hands shook on the wheel. I just walked in on my boyfriend of 3 years balls deep in our bed with the guy from the coffee shop down the street, their laughter echoing like knives as I stood there, frozen, the betrayal hitting harder than any punch. By the time I stumbled out into the storm, the only place my traitorous feet took me was the one house I swore I'd never set foot in again, Jordan's. I pounded on the door until my knuckles ached, the thunder drowning out my sobs. And when it finally swung open, there he was, Jordan Hale, the asshole who'd made my high school life a living hell, his green eyes widening in shock under that perpetually messy brown hair. For years, he'd called me every name in the book: fag, queer, freak, whispering it in hallways, scrawling it on my locker, all because of one drunken rumor that twisted a stupid teenage kiss into something it wasn't. But now, soaked to the bone and unraveling, I didn't care about the past. I just needed someone who wouldn't ask questions, and God help me. In that fractured moment, he was all I had left. "Come in, idiot," he muttered, grabbing my arm and yanking me inside before the rain could claim me too. The warmth of his apartment hit like a slap. Cozy, cluttered with books and vinyl records, smelling faintly of coffee and pine, but it did nothing to thaw the ice in my chest. He shoved a towel at me, his jaw tight, avoiding my eyes as I dripped all over his welcome mat. "What the hell are you doing here, Alex? After all this time?" I collapsed onto his couch, the fight draining out of me like water down a storm drain. "Everything's gone to shit," I whispered, my voice cracking. "Evan. I saw him with someone else. It was supposed to be forever, Jordan. We were building a life." The words tumbled out, raw and ugly, and I hated how they sounded, pathetic, exposed. Jordan hovered in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed like a barrier, his silence louder than the storm outside. He didn't say he was sorry, didn't offer platitudes about time healing or moving on. Instead, he poured 2 mugs of something steaming and hot, sliding one into my hands before sinking into the armchair across from me. "Evan's a prick," he said flatly, staring into his own mug like it held answers. "Always was. You deserve better than some cheater who can't keep it in his pants." It was the closest he'd ever come to kindness, and it stung because I knew it wasn't for me. Not really. Jordan had spent a decade hating my guts. This was pity, nothing more. We sat there as the rain eased to a drizzle, the clock ticking past midnight. I rambled about the little things, the apartment lease in both our names, the dog we'd talked about adopting, the ring Evan had hinted at but never bought. Jordan listened, his face unreadable, only interrupting once to ask if I'd eaten. When I shook my head, he disappeared into the kitchen and came back with a grilled cheese that tasted like childhood comfort, even though it was slightly burned on one side. "Eat," he ordered, and for once, I obeyed without argument. By 2 a.m., the exhaustion hit, and I must have dozed off mid-sentence, because I woke to the soft click of a door and found myself tucked under a blanket that smelled like him. Clean, woodsy, familiar in a way that twisted my gut. Jordan was gone, probably crashed in his room, leaving me to the mercy of my thoughts. I stared at the ceiling, replaying the scene at home, the way Evan's eyes had flicked to me without a shred of regret. How had I missed the signs? The late nights at work, the sudden interest in that barista's Instagram. And now here I was, crashing with the one person who'd made it clear I was beneath contempt. Morning came too soon, gray light filtering through the blinds. Jordan was already up, frying eggs in the kitchen, his back to me as I shuffled in, hair a wreck and eyes puffy. "You look like hell," he said without turning, but there was no bite in it, just fact. "Thanks for the hospitality," I mumbled, grabbing a plate he slid across the counter. We ate in silence, the clink of forks the only sound, until he finally broke it. "You can't stay here forever, you know? But crash as long as you need. Couch is yours." I nodded, gratitude warring with suspicion. Why was he doing this? Jordan Hale, star quarterback turned corporate drone, the guy who'd led the charge in shoving me into lockers and spreading lies about that party sophomore year. It had started with a stupid game of spin the bottle, my first real crush, a fumbling kiss with a teammate that someone twisted into me coming on a half the football team. Jordan, ever the golden boy, had bought the story hook, line, and sinker, turning it into ammunition. For years, he'd been my personal nightmare, and I'd built walls thicker than steel because of it. But walls crack, and mine were already crumbling. Over the next few days, as I sorted through the wreckage of my life, packing boxes at the apartment while Evan smirked from the couch, changing my number to dodge his half-assed apologies, Jordan's place became a reluctant sanctuary. He'd leave notes on the fridge, "Don't touch the last beer," or "Laundry's in the dryer if you need it." Small things, but they chipped away at the resentment I'd nursed like a badge of honor. One evening, after a particularly brutal call from my mom, her voice laced with that familiar disappointment, "I always knew he wasn't right for you, Alex, but you could have chosen better," I found myself pacing his living room, fists clenched. Jordan walked in from a run, sweat slicked and breathing hard, and caught the tail end of my meltdown. "Your mom's a piece of work," he said, tossing his keys on the table. "Always has been. Remember that time at the diner? She looked at me like I was the devil for bumping your table." I laughed, bitter and sharp. "Yeah, well, you were the devil back then." The words hung heavy, and for a second, I thought he'd snap back, revive the old venom. Instead, he rubbed the back of his neck, looking almost sheepish. "About that, I was a dumbass kid, Alex. Scared shitless of my own shadow. My dad, he'd flip if he knew I." He trailed off, grabbing a water from the fridge. I waited, heart pounding, but he didn't finish. Just chugged and changed the subject to some dumb work story about his boss. It was the first crack in his armor, but I let it slide. We weren't friends. We were survivors sharing space, bound by circumstance, not choice. Still, as the weeks blurred, patterns emerged. Movie nights where he'd pick indie flicks with sharp dialogue and we'd argue over the endings. Walks in the park near his Brooklyn brownstone, where he'd point out street art and I'd tease his taste in music, too much classic rock, not enough edge. And always, that undercurrent of tension, like we were both waiting for the other shoe to drop. Evan tried to worm his way back in once, showing up at Jordan's door with flowers and that puppy dog face. I heard the muffled voices from the bedroom where I'd hidden, Jordan's low growl cutting through. "She's not here, man. And even if she was, she'd tell you to fuck off." Evan left sputtering, and when Jordan came back, he just shrugged. "Handled. Why'd you do that?" I asked, voice small. "Because you're not his doormat anymore." Simple, direct, and it landed like a punch to the solar plexus. That night, as thunder rumbled again, fate's cruel echo, I cracked open about the real hurt, the one that had festered since high school. "You ruined me, Jordan. Made me hide who I was even from myself. Every time I tried to date, I'd hear your voice in my head, laughing." He didn't interrupt, just sat there, letting the words bury him. When I finished, tears hot on my cheeks, he reached out, hesitant, like touching fire, and squeezed my shoulder. "I know," he whispered, "and I'm sorry. For all of it." His hand lingered, warm through my shirt, and for the first time, I didn't pull away. But apologies don't erase scars, and ours were just starting to bleed. The first real fracture came at the annual Pride Block Party in Williamsburg, a riot of colors and bass-thumping music that usually lifted my spirits like nothing else. Jordan had tagged along, begrudgingly at first, muttering about crowds, but then loosening up with a rainbow slushie in hand, his laugh surprising me as we watched a drag queen lip-sync battle. For a moment, it felt normal, like we were two guys out for a good time, not ex-enemies dancing around unspoken histories. Then Marcus showed up, tall, broad-shouldered, with that easy grin that had charmed half the queer scene in Brooklyn. We'd hooked up a few times after Evan, nothing serious, just distractions in dive bars and back seats. But seeing him now, weaving through the crowd with purpose, sent a jolt through me. "Alex," he called, pulling me into a hug that lingered too long, his hands low on my back. "Missed you, man. Where you been hiding?" Jordan tensed beside me, his slushy forgotten, eyes narrowing as Marcus chatted me up, all flirt and familiarity. "Who's the bodyguard?" Marcus asked, nodding at Jordan with a wink. "Just a friend," I said quickly, but the word hung awkward, and Jordan excused himself to the beer tent without a word. I brushed it off, let Marcus buy me a drink, laughed at his jokes about bad dates. But when I found Jordan later, nursing a pint alone on a bench, his face was a storm cloud. Friend? Huh? He said, voice edged with something sharp. Looked cozy back there. I bristled. Jealous? That's rich coming from you. He barked a laugh, bitter. Of that tool? Please. Just. Be careful, Alex. Guys like him chew you up and spit you out. It was concern, wrapped in condescension, and it ignited the old fire. Like you know anything about my life? I shot back. You spent years making sure I stayed in the closet. Don't pretend you give a damn now. The words sliced deep, and he reeled like I'd slapped him. I thought we were past that. Were we? Or is this just your guilt trip, playing house, because you feel bad? The crowd swirled around us, oblivious, but our corner felt like a battlefield. He stood, towering over me, green eyes flashing. Maybe I do feel bad. Maybe that's why I'm here, putting up with your shit. But if you want to chase after every asshole who smiles at you, go ahead. See how that works out. He stormed off into the throng, leaving me fuming. The joy of the night soured. I didn't go after him. Instead, I texted Marcus, ended up at his place in a haze of cheap whiskey and regret. It was mechanical, empty, his hands on me feeling like echoes of Evan's betrayal. By morning, I was sneaking out before he woke, hailing a cab back to Jordan's with a pounding headache and a hollow chest. He was waiting in the kitchen, coffee brewing, but the air was thick with frost. Rough night? He asked, not looking up. Don't, I warned, grabbing my mug. Not today. We coexisted like that for days. Polite nods, shared space, but no connection. It was worse than fighting. It was erasure, like the fragile bridge we'd built had crumbled overnight. Work kept me busy. Endless spreadsheets at the marketing firm, clients demanding rainbows in every campaign. But my mind wandered to Jordan's silence, the way he'd looked at Marcus like he was the enemy. The breaking point came midweek, after a client lunch that stretched into happy hour. I stumbled home buzzed, the apartment dark except for the flicker of the TV. Jordan was sprawled on the couch, some documentary on civil rights droning low. You're late, he said, pausing it. Traffic, I lied, flopping down beside him. The proximity buzzed, uncomfortable and electric. What are you watching? Something about Stonewall. Figured it was relevant. His tone was neutral, but his body language screamed walls up. I snatched the remote, flipping channels until I landed on a rom-com. Cheesy, predictable, the kind that promised happy endings. This is better. He snorted. Since when do you believe in that crap? Since always. I turned to him, the alcohol loosening my tongue. You know, for someone who hates fairy tales, you sure act like the villain in mine. His jaw clenched. And you're the hero who keeps screwing it up. The room went still, the unspoken hanging between us. Then, in a rush, it all poured out. The jealousy at pride, the fear of being used again, the way he'd started seeing me not as the kid he'd tormented, but as something more. I don't know what this is, Alex, he admitted, voice rough. But watching you with that guy, it gutted me. And yeah, maybe it's because I hate the idea of you getting hurt. Or maybe it's because I don't want to share. My breath caught. Share what? You. Simple, devastating. He leaned in, close enough I could see the flecks of gold in his eyes, and for a heartbeat, I thought he'd kiss me. But he pulled back, cursing under his breath. Forget it. You're drunk. I'm not that drunk. I grabbed his wrist, holding him there. Talk to me, Jordan. For once, don't run. He searched my face, vulnerability cracking through. I was scared back then. Of you. Of what that kiss rumor meant for me. Because it wasn't just a rumor for me. It was real. I'd watched you for months, wanting everything. And when it blew up, I lashed out to hide it. Hated you to keep from hating myself. The confession landed like a thunderclap. All those years of torment, rooted not in disgust but desire, it reframed everything. The glares that lingered too long, the pranks that felt personal. Why didn't you say anything? I whispered. Pride's a bitch when you're in denial. He tried to smile, but it wobbled. And now? Now I'm terrified you'll see me as the same monster. I didn't have words, so I did the only thing that made sense. Closed the distance, pressing my lips to his in a kiss that was tentative, searching. He froze, then melted, his hand cupping my jaw like I was fragile. It wasn't fire or frenzy, just quiet, like coming home after a storm. When we broke apart, foreheads touching, he murmured, Don't mistake this for pity, Alex. It's real. But reality has teeth, and ours sank in fast. The next morning, sober and tangled in sheets we'd never shared before, doubt crept in. Was this redemption or rebound? As we navigated the awkward dance of new, coffee shared with shy glances, fingers brushing over breakfast, I couldn't shake the whispers. Friends noticed, Evan seethed from afar, and worst of all, Jordan's own ghost stirred. His dad called that afternoon, voice booming through the speakerphone like an accusation. Heard you're shacking up with that queer kid from school, Jordan. What the hell's wrong with you? Get your head straight before you embarrass the family. Click. Jordan went white, phone slipping from his hand. I reached for him, but he jerked away. This was a mistake, he said, voice hollow. I can't. Not like this. The door slammed behind him, and I was alone again, the taste of him still on my lips, wondering if hate was easier after all. Weeks turned into a cold war after that. Jordan crashed on a buddy's couch, texting sparse updates about work, avoiding the apartment like it was cursed. I threw myself into pride planning at the office, rainbow logos, event cords, anything to drown the ache. But every neon sign, every couple hand in hand, twisted the knife. We'd crossed a line, tasted possibility, and now he was running scared, leaving me to pick up the shards. My best friend Lila called it karma. The guy who made your life hell finally gets under your skin, and poof, he bolts. Classic. She was bi, fierce, with a pixie cut and a no bullshit attitude that had carried us through high school hell together. We met at our old haunt, a greasy spoon in Park Slope, where the coffee was strong and the booze worn soft. He's not running from me, I insisted, stirring sugar into my mug until it dissolved. It's his dad. That man's a homophobe fossil. Probably why Jordan's so messed up. Lila arched a brow. And you're what, his therapist now? Alex, you deserve someone who doesn't make you chase ghosts. She was right, but logic doesn't heal heartbreak. Nights blurred into Netflix binges and half-hearted swipes on apps, each match feeling like settling. Marcus texted once, heard you're single again. Round 2. But I deleted it unread. No more distractions. I wanted real, even if it terrified me. Jordan resurfaced at the worst possible time, the night before the big Pride March. I'd volunteered to lead a float, rainbow flags whipping in the wind as we prepped under the Brooklyn Bridge. The air hummed with anticipation, drag troops rehearsing, activists chanting, but my focus splintered when I spotted him at the edge of the lot, hands shoved in pockets, looking like he'd aged a decade. Alex, he started, voice lost in the din. I turned away, directing a volunteer with fake cheer, but he followed. Wait, please. What, Jordan? Come to apologize for ghosting. The words were barbed, but inside, I was crumbling. He winced. No. To explain. My head's been a mess. Dad's calls, the job, all of it piling on. But that's no excuse. I panicked because this scares me. You scare me, in the best way. I crossed my arms, the float's glitter catching the streetlights. Scared of what? Liking me? Or admitting you've always? Both. He stepped closer, earnest. I spent years burying it, telling myself it was a phase. Then you show up, broken and beautiful, and it all unravels. I don't want to hurt you again. The vulnerability hit hard, mirroring my own fears. Around us, the crowd swelled, friends linking arms, signs proclaiming love wins. But in our bubble, it was just us, raw and real. Then don't, I said softly. Stay? Fight for this. He nodded, tentative, and when the march kicked off, he fell in step beside me, his hand brushing mine in the chaos. It wasn't a grand gesture, no declarations, no kisses for the cameras, but it was enough. We marched through the canyons of Manhattan, cheers raining down, and for the first time, I felt seen, not as the outcast or the rebound, but as Alex, flawed, fierce, worthy. The high crashed post-march, at the after-party in a loft space pulsing with EDM and body paint. Lila pulled me aside early, her eyes sharp. He's here, but watch your back. I saw him talking to Evan earlier, looked intense. My stomach dropped. Evan, who I'd blocked everywhere, slinking in like a shadow? I scanned the room, spotting them in a corner, Jordan's posture rigid, Evan's smirk predatory. Heart hammering, I wove through dancers, catching fragments. That stay away from him. Not your business. Evan laughed, low and mean. Oh, it's my business. Alex was mine first. You? You're just the bully playing hero. Jordan's fists clenched. You cheated on him. Broke him. I won't let you do it again. Jealous much? Bet that's why you tormented him. Couldn't stand him shining without you. Evan's voice dripped venom, dredging up the past like sewage. I burst in before Jordan could swing. Enough. My voice cut through, steady despite the rage boiling. Evan turned, feigning surprise, but his eyes gleamed with malice. Babe, don't. I faced him, the room fading. You don't get to call me that. You threw us away for a quick fuck, and now you're stirring shit because I'm happy? Pathetic. He sneered. Happy with him? The guy who made your life hell? Wake up, Alex, he's using you. Jordan stepped forward, but I held up a hand. No, Evan. You're the user. Get out. Security, thank God for queer spaces, escorted him away, his protests echoing. In the aftermath, Jordan and I retreated to the fire escape, city lights sprawling below like a glittering apology. He's wrong, Jordan said, voice thick. I'm not using you. But what if he's right about the past? What if I can't shake it? I leaned against him, the metal cool under my palms. Then we face it together. Therapy, talks, whatever. But don't let him win. He pulled me close, chin on my head. Okay, together. It was a promise, fragile but fierce. We dove in headfirst after that. Couples counseling in a sunlit office overlooking the East River, where a no-nonsense therapist named Ray peeled back layers like onions. Jordan unpacked his dad's iron-fisted expectations, the closet he'd built brick by brick. I spilled about the isolation, the way Evan's charm had masked control. Sessions ended raw, but closer, our hands finding each other on the walk home. Friendships woven too. Lila warmed to Jordan slowly, grilling him over tacos. Heard him again, and I'll key your truck. His old teammate, now out and proud, hosted barbecues where stories flowed, laughs over beer, confessions under stars. It was messy, beautiful, a tapestry of chosen families stitching our wounds. But prejudice doesn't vanish with love. It lurks, waiting. Jordan's promotion at the firm came with a catch. Relocating to Chicago, a fresh start, his boss pitched with a wink that screamed ulterior. Family man city, the guy said, eyeing Jordan's solo status. We debated late into nights, pros and cons scrawled on napkins, career boost versus roots we'd just planted. I can't ask you to uproot, I said one evening, curled on the couch as rain pattered again, our storm motif. You're not asking. I want you with me. His kiss sealed it, urgent and sure. Packing blurred into summer, boxes labeled with inside jokes. But as the moving truck idled curbside, a call shattered the idyll. My mom, voice quavering. Your sister's coming out, Alex. And Dad, he's not taking it well. Says it's your fault, that you influenced her. The words iced my veins. Fault. As if love was contagious poison. Jordan squeezed my hand, but the damage rooted deep. Old prejudices flaring, family fracturing anew. We drove west anyway, the skyline shrinking in the rear view, chasing horizons. Chicago welcomed with wind-whipped streets and lake views, our new apartment a blank canvas. But as winter loomed, so did doubts. Could we outrun the past, or was it etched in our bones? Settling into Chicago felt like starting a sequel. Same characters, new set, higher stakes. Jordan thrived at the firm, his sharp mind earning nods from suits who'd once dismissed him. I freelance graphic design from a corner desk, pixels my therapy, crafting logos that screamed authenticity. Evenings, we'd wander the loop, hands laced against the chill, stealing kisses in alleyways where jazz spilled from hidden doors. But family shadows lengthened. My sister's visit was a whirlwind. Emma, 22 and radiant, her coming out a quiet revolution after years of my trailblazing. We met at a lakeside cafe, her eyes bright with nerves. Dad's losing it, Alex. Sermons about choices, threats to cut her off. Mom's tiptoeing, but I can't watch her suffer. I hugged her tight, Jordan across the table offering quiet support. You're not alone, I said. We'll figure it. My phone buzzed, Dad. This is on you, boy. You and your lifestyle corrupted her. Click. The venom seeped, old wounds reopening. Jordan saw the fallout, holding me through nightmares where rejection looped endless. He's wrong. He'd murmur, tracing patterns on my back. You're the best thing that happened to her, to us. His own family tested us too. A holiday invite from his folks, polite, probing, arrived like a grenade. Bring the roommate. It read, code for scrutiny. We debated, go and confront, or ghost and grieve. We face it, Jordan decided, steel in his spine. No more hiding. The Hale homestead in suburban Detroit was all white pickets and pot roast, his parents' smiles brittle as china. Dinner crackled with subtext, mom's sidelong glances, dad's booming questions about the firm life. Then, over pie, it erupted. So, Jordan, his father said, fork pausing. This Alex, good influence? City's full of distractions. Jordan's hand found mine under the table, grip iron. Alex is the best thing in my life, Dad. We're together. As in, partners. Silence swallowed the room. Mom's fork clattered, Dad's face purpled. Partners? Like. That way. Boy, I've raised you better. The air thickened, accusations flying, sin, confusion, a phase he'd outgrow. Jordan stood, voice steady. No, Dad. This is me. Love him or lose me. We left to slam doors, the drive back a blur of tears and tight silences. In a roadside motel, neon buzzing outside, Jordan broke. I thought, maybe he'd see, but it's the same hate that made me hurt you. I pulled him close, our bodies fitting like puzzle pieces. Then we make our own family. Screw blood. It bonded us deeper, but cracks spiderwebbed. Work stress mounted, Jordan's long hours clashing with my freelance deadlines, small irritations festering. A forgotten anniversary dinner turned into a shouting match. You promised. I'm providing for us. Guilt gnawed. Was I the anchor or the chain? Lila visited, her outsider eyes sharp. Talk it out, dummy. Love's not mind reading. Counseling resumed via video, Ray's calm dissecting our triggers. Jordan admitted fear of failing me, echoing his dad's shadow. I confessed resentment over his walls, still half up. Progress was glacial, but real. Date nights enforced, apologies laced with action. Spring thawed the ice, blooming with possibility. Emma moved nearby, crashing weekends with stories of her art gigs. Her girlfriend a quiet firebrand who challenged Jordan to board games he inevitably lost. We hosted barbecues on the balcony, laughter echoing over the lake, chosen kin filling voids. Then the surprise, Jordan's proposal, not on bended knee but scribbled on a napkin during a mundane diner breakfast. Marry me? Not because we have to, but because I can't imagine without. Tears blurred the ink. I said yes, sealing it with syrup-sweet kisses. Planning ignited joy. Emma as best woman, Lila officiating in a suit sharp as her wit. But joy invites envy. Evan resurfaced, a LinkedIn message to Jordan. Congrats on the upgrade. Hope he doesn't break you like he did me. Poison pure. Jordan showed me, rage simmering. Block him. He's nothing. But doubt wormed in. Late nights, I'd scroll old photos. Evan's arm around me, smiles staged. What if Jordan saw the same flaws? The climax brewed at our engagement party, a rooftop bash under string lights, Chicago's skyline a glittering witness. Friends toasted, glasses clinking, until Evan's shadow loomed at the door, uninvited, unhinged. You think this is real? He slurred, eyes wild, a flask glinting. Alex always runs back to safe. You're just the regret fuck. Gasps rippled. Jordan stepped forward, protective. Leave. Now. Evan laughed, manic. Ask him about the night after Pride. Who he really wanted. The lie twisted, but it landed. Eyes on me, whispers stirring. I froze, heart slamming. Evan, stop. You're drunk, delusional. He lunged, words spilling. Fabricated tales of affairs, manipulations. Chaos erupted. Lila hauling him back, security swarming, but damage bloomed. As cops dragged him away, Jordan's face was stone. In the quiet aftermath, guests trickling out, he confronted me. Is any of that true? No. Panic clawed. He's twisting everything to hurt us. But trust, once cracked, leaks. He nodded, distant. I believe you. But I need space. To process. Space stretched to days, him crashing at a hotel, text Kurt. I paced our apartment, calling Ray solo. How do we rebuild when the past keeps knocking? By choosing now, Ray advised. Every day, I showed up at his work, lunch bag in hand, his favorite sandwich, note tucked inside. I choose us. He emerged, weary but softening, pulling me into an empty conference room. I'm scared, he admitted, forehead to mine, of losing you to ghosts. Then haunt me with the future. Our kiss was desperate, reaffirming. Summer deepened our vows, wedding an intimate affair in a lakeside garden. Vows exchanged under oaks, Emma's speech gut-punching. You two? Proof love wins wars. Rings glinted, simple bands etched with coordinates of our first kiss. Honeymoon in the Keys, sun-soaked days, nights tangled in hammocks, whispers of forever. Back home, life settled, adopting a mutt named Scout, who chewed shoes but mended hearts. Yet prejudice lingered, subtle. A colleague's joke at Jordan's holiday party, wives know their place, earned a cold stare, but festered. My promotion passed over for a family man, bias veiled as merit. We fought back, donations to youth centers, volunteering at shelters, turning pain to purpose. Emma's art show featured our story, portraits raw and redemptive. One winter eve, snow blanketing the city, Jordan held me by the window. Remember that night? Rain, you at my door. Hard to forget. I smiled, tracing his jaw. I hated you then, to hide this. He kissed my temple. Now, I love you. No mistakes. No story ends tidy, but ours unfolded, layered, lived, loved. The first year of marriage was a masterclass in compromise. Jordan's aversion to clutter versus my creative chaos, his early mornings clashing with my night owl sketches. We'd argue over toast, burnt or buttered, then laugh, pulling each other close. Scout became our referee, tail wagging through tensions, his sloppy kisses diffusing bombs. Professionally, winds shifted. My designs caught a big client's eye, a queer-owned brand expanding nationwide, landing me a lead role, salary bump included. Jordan beamed at the news, toasting with cheap champagne, to my superstar. But his own path jagged, boss pressuring for team building, trips laced with bro-code undertones, sidelining his input on key projects. You're too sensitive, the guy said after one exclusion, code for act straight. Jordan came home seething, punching the heavy bag in our spare room until knuckles bled. I bandaged them silently, then pushed, quit, or sue. But don't let them dim you. He chose fight. HR complaints, allies rallied. It cost overtime, stress lines etching his brow, but vindication came. Promotion, with a public nod to diversity. Couldn't have without you, he whispered that night, our bodies sinking in grateful rhythm. Family mending was slower. Emma thrived, her girlfriend proposing under the same oaks as us, a cycle of joy. Mom softened, tentative calls evolving to visits. Awkward at first, her eyes darting from our intertwined hands, but warming with Scout's antics and shared recipes. Dad remained a wall, occasional cards and signed, but Emma's updates hinted at cracks. He's asking about you. Progress. Jordan's parents? Icy civility at best. Mom sent neutral gifts, scarves, books, but Dad's silence roared. A breakthrough flickered at Scout's adoption anniversary barbecue. He showed, unannounced, hovering at the edges. When Jordan tossed him a beer, gruff thanks emerged. Looks like you got your shit together, son. No apology, but a toe in the door. We took it, building bridges brick by tentative brick. Friendships anchored us. Lila relocated for a tech gig, crashing monthly with tales of corporate closeting. You two are disgustingly cute, she'd tease, then spill her heart over wine. Her own fears of settling, bisexuality boxed by assumptions. We'd listen, offer space, mirroring the grace we'd craved. A new circle formed too, a support group for queer professionals, where stories echoed ours, rejections, redemptions. There, we met Theo, a trans man with a dry wit and engineering smarts, who became Jordan's gym buddy, their banter a bomb. Surprises ambushed, though. Evan's arrest hit the news, stalking charges from another ex, his unraveling public. A twisted relief washed over me. Closure, unasked. Jordan held me through the what-ifs. He could have been worse. But we rose above. The real gut punch came autumn, leaves flaming gold, fertility talks. We'd skirted kids, career first, settling in, but a casual brunch with Emma's glowing pregnancy news ignited longing. Adopt. I ventured over dinner. Fork paused. Jordan's eyes lit. Hell yes. Or foster. Whatever builds our chaos. Paperwork loomed, endless forms probing histories. Past traumas dissected for stability. Interviews probed. How do you handle conflict? We'd recount fights, growth, hands clasped under the table. Rejection stung, one agency citing unconventional dynamic, but persistence paid. A match, Kai, 4, wide-eyed foster kid with a laugh like bells, bounced into our lives for a trial month. Parenting was pandemonium, sleepless nights, tantrums tamed with patience we'd honed on each other. Kai's questions pierced. Why two dads? Jordan knelt, honest. Because love doesn't need labels. Bonding bloomed. Park picnics, story hours where I'd illustrate his wild tales. But prejudice prowled. School enrollment snags, parental units unclear, ignited fury. We advocated, lawyers looped, winning spots but scars. Kai's first bully incident, a kid parroting freak family, crushed us. Jordan's rage simmered. I channeled to art, a children's book on diverse homes, illustrated with Kai's input. Through it, our love deepened, stolen moments amid sippy cups, sex rediscovered quiet and intense, reaffirming us. Holidays transformed, tree trimming with Emma's babe on hip, mom cooing over ornaments. Winter brought crisis. Jordan's dad, post-heart scare, reached out, frail voice on speaker. Need to make amends, son. Before it's late. We flew east, Kai in tow, the house softer now, ghosts gentled by illness. Talks unfolded halting. Dad's admissions of his own buried pains, a youth stifled by era's chains. Feared for you, he rasped. Didn't know how to say. Forgiveness wasn't instant, but seeds planted, hugs exchanged, photos snapped. Back home, renewal stirred. Kai's adoption finalized under spring sun, a courtroom vow echoing ours. Family forever. Judge signed, tears flowing. Yet conflict brewed anew. My book deal exploded, tours, deadlines, pulling me west for signings. Jordan's resentment simmered unspoken. Go chase dreams. We'll hold the fort. Distance frayed threads. Calls clipped. Kai sensing strain. A blowout erupted post-tour, airport pickup tense. You left us for weeks, he accused, bags thudding. Building our future. I fired back. For Kai, for us. Words escalated. Past abandonments unearthed, fears of repeating cycles. We slept apart. Kai shuttled between rooms, his confusion a knife. Lila mediated, blunt, therapy, stat. Or lose it all. We did, intensive sessions, raw reckonings. Jordan owned envy of my spotlight. I admitted escape in work. Rebuilding meant dates sans kid. Dinners, dances, rekindling spark. Summer healed, a road trip weaving states. Badlands hikes, Kai's on mirroring ours. By ocean's edge, Jordan pulled me aside. We're unbreakable. Mistakes and all. Waves crashed agreement. Love, resilient. Years layered like sedimentary rock. Each trial tempering, each joy polishing. Kai grew, a whirlwind of soccer cleats and science fairs, his questions evolving. Dad Jordan, why do you hate Dad Alex once? We'd sit on the porch swing, truth tempered gentle. Fear makes monsters. Love slays them. School stabilized, allies emerging, teachers championing, playdates diverse. But macro storms raged. National debates on rights, protests clashing. We marched, Kai's sign wobbling. Love is love. Jordan's speeches at rallies, once mute man now mic in hand, stirred crowds, his story a beacon. Career pivots came. My book spawned a series, TED Talk invites pulling me global. Jordan launched a consultancy, LGBTQ plus inclusion training, traveling too, but synced. Family sabbaticals in Europe, Kai trilingual by 10. Family fused fuller. Mom relocated nearby, Grandma Judy's her redemption. Baking with Kai, subtle pride in her eyes. Dad's passing, bittersweet, brought closure. Letters unearthed, affirming Jordan's path. Proud son. Finally see. Jordan's mom blossomed late. PFLAG meetings, pride pins, visiting with stories swapped over tea. Emma's family expanded. our kin a web, barbecues sprawling, laughter loud. Intimacy evolved, less frenzy, more depth. Anniversaries marked with letters read aloud, vulnerabilities bared. Sex, sacred space, tender explorations, affirming souls. Conflict crested mid-decade. Kai's crush, a classmate's son, innocent but fraught. School whispers, gay by default, revived scars. Kai came home tear-streaked. Am I broken? We held counsel, therapist, Lila, all in. Jordan's voice cracked. Never broken. Brave. I drew comics explaining spectrums, normalizing. It passed, but bonded us tighter, Kai's resilience our mirror. A deeper quake. Jordan's diagnosis, early anxiety disorder, stress-fueled. Meds, mindfulness. I became his anchor, role reversed. Your turn to hold me. He joked through fog, but gratitude shone. We traveled inward too. Retreats in the Rockies, silence amplifying connection. There, under stars, he confessed. That first night, you breaking down, I saw my own cracks. Chose to mend with you. Tears mingled, love, alchemical. Surprises sweetened. Kai's bar mitzvah, blended traditions, our queer twist, drawing crowds, toasts toasting growth. Lila's wedding, us as witnesses, her vows echoing ours. Then, the unimaginable. Fostering twins, teens on the cusp. Jaden, non-binary artist. Riley, quiet coder. Chaos quadrupled. Hormones, heart-to-hearts, but reward immense. Late nights debating identities. Jordan's patience a gift, my creativity a canvas. Prejudice peaked nationally. Bills curbing rights, fear-mongering headlines. We armored, petitions signed, calls made, safe space fortified. Kai, now teen, protested, sign bold. My dad's taught me fight. A personal tempest, old flame resurfaced. Mine, a college ex emailing reconnections. Harmless catch-up, but Jordan's insecurity flared. Am I enough? Vulnerable unpack. Always, I vowed, burning the thread. Trust, tested, triumphed. Climax crested at Kai's high school graduation. Caps airborne, his speech gutting. My dad showed hate's a lie. Loves the truth. Cheers thundered. We wept, arms around expanding family. Postgrad, Kai off to college, empty nest echoing. We mourned, then reinvented. Salsa classes, where Jordan's two left feet charmed laughs. A cabin rebuild, hands dirty, hearts full. Decades end, silver-streaked. We revisited Brooklyn, full circle. At the old door, rain light, Jordan knelt anew. Renew vows? With you, every day's yes. I pulled him up, kissing fierce, eternity. Life, tapestry woven, threads of pain, pattern of grace.